Hey everyone, thanks for watching the Commander's Brew here on YouTube. You know what to do. If you like the show, hit subscribe. It really helps us out. Leave some comments. Let's start the conversation. All that stuff really helps us out. If you want to go the extra mile, check out Patreon, patreon.com/commandersbrew. You can help donate to the show, make it with your own money and time, and help us in the Discord. Create the show, like actually create it. Suggestions, we're using them all the time. We're having a blast in there. We also got other perks. Check us out, patreon.com/commandersbrew. But without further ado, let's get into today's deck tag. This is a fun one. Sean, lay it on us.
Okay, so this is based on Etrata the Silencer. And the title is How Do You Want to Lose the Game? So let me tell you what Etrata does. Etrata the Silencer, 2 blue, black, legendary vampire assassin, 3/5. Can't be blocked. Whenever Etrata deals combat damage to
Sorry. I don't know why it didn't have the right card. Okay, take us. I got to take us back to lay it on us. Okay, ready? All right, Sean, lay it on us.
We're brewing around Etrata the Silencer. The title is How Would You Like to Lose? Etrata, for those of you who don't remember, 2 blue, black, legendary vampire assassin, 3/5, comes from Guilds of Ravnica, less than $1 right now. Etrata can't be blocked. Whenever Etrata deals combat damage to a player, you exile target creature that player controls, and then you put a hit counter on that card. I forgot there was a hit counter.
I know, I forget. It's called a hit counter. Like, they couldn't think of anything more on theme. With this
assassins
I guess
make
hits. Yeah, that's true.
Yeah.
Okay, I guess that's pretty on theme.
And now, right, and so there will be a future card like a Super DJ that also makes hit counters.
Hit counters, yeah.
And then
Top
that will
40 pop producer.
Yeah, that's my prediction. Whenever we see a commander in the future made that can make hit tokens that's DJ themed, Etrata will spike. So watch out.
Yeah, keep an eye out for that. Yeah, exactly.
So you basically you exile a creature. It's removal on legs, but then you have to shuffle Etrata into its library, into your library. Since Etrata's our commander, we get to put Etrata back to our command zone. But once that a player has 3 creatures exiled with hit counters on them, they lose the game. So that's what I mean by lose the game. Etrata makes your opponents aware that they have 3 combats in which they will lose the game. I'm also sort of the lieutenant of this deck is Atemsis, all-seeing. 3 blue, blue, blue. I'm jumping the gun a little bit here, but this is Legendary Sphinx, 4/5 flying, 2 in a blue, tap, draw 2 cards, then discard a card. So you're up a card, but you get to pick which 2, like you get to sculpt your hand a bit more. And whenever Atemsis deals combat damage, 2 creatures that care about dealing combat damage, you may reveal your hand, and if you have at least 6 different CMCs in your hand, that player who you just hit loses the game. So we have different ways of making our opponents lose the game, but we're also, the main focus of this deck is doing combat damage. Dimir creatures that when you do combat damage, something happens. The Atemsis angle, the Etrata angle, those are sort of like meant to throw your opponents off, where they're like, ooh, I better not let you hit me with this. I better not get any more Etrata hits. It's kind of just removal for us. It's kind of just like, yeah, I'm just going to use it to remove something, let it go back to the command zone. We're not brewing around spamming Etrata's ability, which many Etrata decks do.
Right.
It's just something we're going to get. If we don't, that's okay. We got other things to do.
I love it. It's like a smokescreen. It's very Dimir, like
right?
To be like, this is, oh yeah, sure, this is an Etrata deck. Yeah, sure.
You've seen lots of Etrata decks, right?
So people are worried about that, and they're like saving removal for that stuff. And then meanwhile, you have all these sneaky other things that are going to happen.
Yeah.
Love it.
So shall we get to some of our neat moves?
Working on a
neat
moves.
Okay, yes. So how would you like to lose the game? So far, we can lose the game 2 different ways, whether it be Atemsis or Etrata. But there's a few other ones in here as well, including, and I'm so happy to see this card back in the lexicon, Triskaidekaphobia. 3 and a black for the enchantment. This card's so fun. At the beginning of your upkeep, choose 1. Each player with exactly 13 life loses the game. Then each player gains 1 life. Or each player with exactly 13 life loses the game and then each player loses 1 life. So 13 life will always lose the game, and either you gain a life or everyone's gaining a life or everyone's losing a life. I just love that. I love this style of deck already, where it's like, oh man, we got a bunch of ways people could lose the game in here. Triskaidekaphobia, one that's going to be tough to get going, but like I love a challenge. This is great. Triskaidekaphobia, very, very cool. Works well with combat damage. What can you say?
Yeah.
And then this one, another just wild one, suggested by Jamon in our Discord chat. Phage the Untouchable. Love it. Phage, 3 black, 7 in total for the legendary avatar minion. 4/4. When Phage the Untouchable, I mean, you know her. When she enters the battlefield, if you didn't cast it from your hand, you lose the game. So no reanimating Phage, no cheating her in from your library or whatever. Gotta cast it from your hand. Whenever Phage deals combat damage to a creature, destroy that creature. It can't be regenerated. So it's like combat damage, death touch kind of.
Triggered death touch, yeah.
Which is worse. But also, whenever Phage deals combat damage to a player, that player loses the game. So
that's what we're talking about.
We're getting Etrata through. We're getting, Atemsis in. We're getting Phage in. Like this is nuts. This is again super Dimir, sneaking in a little bit of combat damage and then actually making it so that you lose the game as a result. Love it.
Can you imagine the player who has 1 or 2 Etrata hits on them, and then the other player who has 0 Etrata hits is just like, yeah, I'm not worried. You're miles away from doing anything to me.
Exactly.
Like, here comes Phage, here comes Haste, and you're dead.
You're dead, bad. Yeah. Oh man, I can't wait to see the other things this deck is doing, because so far, like, you hooked me with this alone. You hooked me. I'm in. I want to make this deck.
It is a risk to run Phage.
Sure.
If anyone runs a Mist Meadow Witch or Rune or like anyone who can blink your creatures, you lose the game.
Yeah,
so
that's
you can't like, there is for sure a risk to this, but I think that risk is worth it. Definitely, like, what a fun way for that to happen.
You run blue, you run counter spells, right?
Sure. We run our own bounce spells.
We'll kill ourselves if we have to.
Well, not blink, bounce. We'll get to it.
Fair, yeah, okay.
So we're all about getting combat damage in. I've said this already. So let's talk about some of our big effects. Our big combat damage, big boys. We've got Wrexial the Risen Deep, 3 blue, black. Legendary Kraken, 5/8. It's got Island Walk and Swamp Walk. So there's a lot of players who can't block it anyway. But as a 5/8, that's hard to block anyway successfully. Tough. Whenever Wrexial deals combat damage to a player, I'll say that phrase a ton, you may cast target instant or sorcery from that player's graveyard without paying for it. And then you exile it. So we basically get their best card. If we've dropped Wrexial on 6, we're probably going to hit a ramp spell, maybe a removal spell. Later in the game, we're probably going to hit something way bigger and scarier for our opponents.
Nice.
We've also got Mind Leech Mass, 5 blue, black, horror, 6/6 trample. When it deals combat damage to a player, look at their hand and cast anything in it without paying their mana cost. That can be devastating. Like people will not let you hit them with this, but everything in our deck is like, I can't let you hit me with any of these things.
Yeah. This had a big impact on our first Battle of the Brews, I think, right?
Our first released episode. Yeah. You must watch it. It was the things that happened with my Loom match. It was fantastic.
For one player.
And finally, I want to highlight Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni, 4 black for a legendary rat ninja, 5/4 with ninjutsu. So ninjutsu means you can return an unblocked attacker you control to your hand, and then you put this card down, tapped and attacking. So let me tell you really quick. Well, first, what Ink Eyes does, whenever Ink Eyes deals combat damage to a player, you can put any creature from their graveyard onto the battlefield under your control. So we get to just steal creatures from the graveyard. Fantastic ability. Oh, by the way, Ink Eyes regenerates for 1 and a black, so it's hard to kill. But ninjutsu, I'll remind you, works very well with Etrata, because during combat, after we deal combat damage, there is still another like post-combat phase, but we also get to react to triggers. So when Etrata's trigger goes on the stack where we're going to shuffle Etrata back, we're allowed to ninjutsu in an Ink Eyes, get Etrata back into our hand before the shuffle part happens. And we won't get the Inca's combat damage trigger. We've done this after combat damage, but Etrata is still an attacker and still unblocked. So we do get to get Etrata back that way.
That's sneaky.
It's ninjas. It's sneaky.
Dimir, ninjas, sneaky. Love it.
Yeah. But that's just a part of it. But we also have some smaller creatures that are make up more of our deck. So Andy, why don't you lead us through some of these?
Yeah, so like if we can't just be relying on 7-8 mana, plays for the whole game. You want to be creating value as you go, helping us get to the point where we're going to be, making people lose the game. So I love a Tomebound Lich. One blue black. It's a zombie wizard. It's a 1/3 with death touch and lifelink. So, right away, great defender as well as a decent attacker, because when it enters the battlefield or deals combat damage to a player, you draw a card and then discard a card. So you get to loot. Whenever you build this type of deck, looting just as good as card draw, in my opinion, right? Like, we're just trying to get to one of these lose the game effects, and we're trying to, and that's our value along the way, is just digging into the deck. Tomebound Lich is going to be great for when you're looking, and it's going to be great for when people start coming at you because they realize what you're doing. A nice little death touch lifelinker is going to be great there. Go ahead.
When you're done this category, I just want to say, just like keep in mind that we've got a lot of small damage people, which does help us like finagle that Triskaidekaphobia a little bit better, right? We do have the ability to send specific amounts of damage places.
I love it. Thief of Sanity is such a great card. 1 blue black for a flyer, a 2/2. Whenever Thief of Sanity deals combat damage to a player, look at the top 3 cards of that player's library, exile one of them face down, then put the rest into their graveyard. You may look at and cast that card for as long as it remains exiled. You may spend mana as though it were mana of any type to cast the spell. So, important to note, you don't need Thief of Sanity to be on the board. That's the whole, it remains there and you can cast it for as long as you want. You don't need it to be still around. You can always cast that for the rest of the game, so that's very cool. Any of the same effects that are going to either allow us to get in or maybe, hit multiple times or anything like that, it's going to trigger Thief of Sanity and help Thief of Sanity. I just love this card. When there's a reason it got a bunch of play in Standard. Not only is it just super good in that meta, but in that format, it's so good in Commander too. We got crazy big spells in Commander. It's awesome.
Yeah, the fact that your opponents never know what it is, and they know it's in theirs. It's like, oh man, what did you take of mine? I don't know.
And it can't be, you can't get a land. It's not play, it's cast.
Yeah, it's cast. But I mean, if all you see is lands, you're going to exile a land. You can never do it, but your opponent will never know.
They won't know, exactly. And finally in this category, a little combat damage, Vires the Veiled. This one's from Battle Bond, 2 and a black. It's a legendary Azura assassin. It partners with Gorm the Great, which is not relevant here because Gorm is a green creature and
use it.
We can't even if we wanted to. However, it is target player may put Gorm. So if you think anyone else has Gorm that's going to help you, maybe that's something you want to do. Anyways, not important. It's a 1/1 death toucher, and when Vires deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half their life, rounded up. Not the game, but pretty huge, pretty close to getting to that Triskaidekaphobia trigger, right? Start off at 40, get down to 20. Now you're within range.
Well, and I also want to point out, I don't have a lot of room in the show notes for these kinds of things, but I am running Quietus Spike. There are a few more creatures that when they hit, they make you lose half your life total. I am also running Fire Shrieker, a couple of pieces of equipment that gives you double strike.
Very good.
So, if you get a double striking Vires the Veiled on there, if they block, your Death Touch will kill it before it does damage back. And if they aren't able to block somehow because you've given it unblockable through one of our many means, then they're going to lose half their life and then half again. They're going to lose 75% of their whole life.
That's awesome.
Yeah, right? That's a big discount.
Now you're just, and this is I'm so big on this. It's not just to lose the game. That's not the only way we're going to win this game. Or when we're playing this, even with a thing like that, where it's we just dealt 75% of the damage. Now we're just going to beat you through normal combat damage, and maybe it is just through these 2/2s and maybe our 3/3s and maybe one of the big guys hitting. It doesn't need to be the main lose the game trigger. It can be, we're creating value as we go here.
And so you're probably going to have to spend that removal on Vires the Veiled. So then that's one you don't have for Etrata when Etrata drops. And you're
exactly.
Going to this. Andy, can I get you to pull up? I forgot to do this, but this is so important. Can you pull up Crashing Drawbridge?
Oh, of course. Oh my God, yeah.
Right? Because notice all of these are 3 CMC. And like Crushing Drawbridge is the 2-mana artifact that with Defender, it's a 0/4 tap. Creatures you control gain haste until end of turn. Haste is so crucial for Etrata. Haste is so crucial because the line of turn 2, Crushing Drawbridge. Turn 3, Thief of Sanity, give it haste, hit you, and take something. Or turn 3, Vires the Veiled. Maybe someone just hit a Cultivate. Maybe they've just been ramping. They've got nothing out. It's like, by the way, you're starting the game at 20 now.
That's crazy. It's so
right?
nuts to be doing that on turn 3, but it's absolutely a line of play that can totally happen.
Yeah.
With this common and that rare from Battle Bond.
Crashing Drawbridge is so good. So good. And so, like, what are some of the ways we're getting people through? We've got Whirler Rogue, 2 blue. It's a 2/2 Rogue Artificer that enters with 2 1/1 Thopters. That's a great way to do some chip damage, but you can tap 2 untapped artifacts. Target creature can't be blocked. I'm highlighting this because it is a mana-free way of making a creature unblockable. That's excellent. We've also got Crafty Pathmage, 2 and a blue, Human Wizard, 1/1, tap. Target creature with power 2 or less is unblockable this turn. This happens in red a lot, but we have a ton of under 2 powered creatures that do great stuff when they do damage. Maybe we'll put in a double strike on them or something like that. I'm happy to get 2 Vires the Veiled in that way. Lots of our creatures are under 2 power.
Sweet.
And of course, Keeper of Keys. 3 blue, human rogue mutant, 4/4. When it enters the battlefield, you become the monarch. Let me talk about the monarch for a second. When you're able to do combat so easily with getting them through, you want the monarch in play. And if your opponents steal it from you, no problem. I'm going to get that right back.
And it's actually like you're absolutely right. Like, so okay, we're stealing the monarch every turn, right? Or whatever. It's easy for us to take it. And then your opponent's like, well, I'll just take the monarch back. And then it's like, well, wait, do I want this deck to be attacking me?
Right.
Do I want this deck to be focused on me? Do I want Etrata or whoever else, any of these creatures to be hitting me? No, I don't.
Yeah. No, you don't.
So yeah, very good.
Yeah. And so when Keeper of Keys enters, you become the monarch. And if at the beginning of your upkeep, that is to say, if you start your turn as the monarch, creatures you control can't be blocked straight up. And obviously we're running Throne of the High City, which is the land that taps to add colorless or sacrifices itself with 4 mana to become the monarch. So if we've got a Keeper of the Keys and a Throne of the High City, it doesn't matter what our opponents do. On the end of their turn, we're going to become the monarch, start our turn as the monarch, and attack for free.
Amazing. Do you run the enchantment creature that gives everything flying and nothing?
Yes, Archetype of Imagination. Yes, I do.
So
Archetype of Imagination is great. I mean,
one of my favorite ways to give things unblockable without it saying the words unblockable.
Oh, I know. Your stuff flies, your opponent's stuff can't fly.
Yeah, so reach is the only way to stop it, which,
it's true. It's true. Yeah, I love it. Yeah, so I want to just give a shout out to some of the people who helped us brew this together. Some of the big contributors in our Discord: Jamon, Mondo, T Laser, Peldone, Will Smitty, Max Lovell. Really, like, a lot of cool ads, I didn't always highlight specific cards those people gave the idea for, but the influences are all there.
Nice. I love it. It's been a real treat making this part of the show, and it's a lot of fun. Sean, were there any surprises or discoveries for this one?
There was. Shout out to T-Laser, and this was something that happened from an earlier discussion, but was brought back for this deck as well. Ebon Blade Reaper, 2 and a black, cleric, 1/1. Whenever Ebon Blade Reaper attacks, you lose half your life rounded up. Whenever Ebon Blade Reaper deals combat damage to a player, that player loses half his or her life rounded up. So it's that Vires the Veiled type of thing. But it's got morph, so you can cast it face down, and then when it attacks, nothing happens to you. And then you unmorph it for 3 black just as it hits, and then your opponents lose half their life, but you've not paid the consequence for it.
Amazing.
We can then ninjutsu it back to our hand, cast it as a morph again. Your opponents are going to know what it is.
Yeah.
But we can always get around that attack, lose half your life. But also, maybe we don't care so much. I don't know.
Yeah, ends up being one of those big attackers because that's a lot of mana to pay for.
It is.
But it is over installments if you don't have haste, right? It's like 3 and then 5. So definitely, again, that's another thing. Threat of activation is there. That's going to be a big deal. They're going to just block this and sometimes not block something else that might even actually be more what you want to get in, right?
Well, and there is a point, like the way the math works out is like if you can manage to get a first striking thing on Vires the Veiled or a Quietus Spike, something with first double strike as well, if your opponent loses half and then half again, it's kind of not worth it to do yet another half, because that point you're talking about 6 more damage, right?
It's diminishing 4 returns, more damage, obviously.
Yeah, so maybe you don't even need this one.
When you didn't, if let's say Ebon Blade Reaper or any creature got blocked and you ninjutsu, oh no, you can't, because you can only ninjutsu an unblocked creature. Never mind.
That's right.
Figured it out.
But we do have 1 or 2 spells that return a creature you control to its owner's hand. But we didn't go hard on that. Etrata goes hard on those effects, and we did not.
Right. Yeah. Because I like that this kind of like tricks your opponent into thinking it's an Etrata deck, but really that's again smokescreen. Dimir, love it. Themes are here. It's fun. Oh man, I love this deck.
Yeah.
But we just did surprise discovery, so that means it's time for the budget report.
This is where we take all of the cards, and you know what? Absolute power corrupts absolutely. If you have too much money, you lose the game.
Oh wow, that's tough.
So buy these cards.
Tough look for the person trying to pull this deck off.
Okay, so if I ran this through TCGplayer to see their mid and low, the low on this deck is $27.70. This is a $27 deck if you want to buy it like as cheap as possible. If you're going to buy all your cards near mint, it's going to cost you about $75 or so. Please check out our link in the notes there to get our TCG player referral. Unless you're in Canada. If you're in Canada, please hit up Wizard Tower for actual discount with our coupon code. But the most expensive cards, number 1, Ink Eyes, Servant of Oni. Man, that's a $10 card.
Yeah, I know.
Undoubtedly,
I did not expect this.
No doubt it's because of the Yuriko. When Yuriko was made, for sure, all the ninjas got expensive. Second most expensive card is Sphinx Ambassador. 5 blue, 5/5 Sphinx with flying. Here's another combat one. This is another big boy. When Sphinx Ambassador deals combat damage to a player, search their deck for a card. Then that player names a card. And if they guess correctly, nothing happens. But if they guess wrong and you picked a creature card, you get to put it into play under your control. So you're going to pick this is the mind game. If you pick their absolute best creature, they might guess their best creature and you don't get it. But if they don't get the only deck that doesn't fear this is a deck that runs 2 creatures and then they got a 50-50 shot. But most decks are just I don't know. What did you pick? Did you pick my Avenger of Zendikar? It's no, I picked your Tendershoot Dryad.
Yeah,
it's great.
Yeah, basically, if this hits you, you're just saying the card that you just don't want them to get, right? That's all you have to do. Don't strain your brain too much trying to but what if they pick this? And what would be really good for them? And what if they think I'm thinking this? Just say the card you don't want them to get. Just say Elesh Norn. I don't want you to get Elesh Norn from my deck or whatever, right?
Yeah.
Just say that, and then you're at least covered for them wrecking you with your own creature that way.
I love it.
This card's awesome. And the third most expensive card is Vraska, Scheming Gorgon, for black for the legendary Vraska. It's a 5 loyalty planeswalker, +2. Creatures you control get +1/+0 till end of turn. -3, destroy target creature. -10. Until end of turn, creatures you control gain Death Touch, and whenever this creature deals combat damage to an opponent, that player loses the game. I feel like you put this in here for the ultimate, which, we all know is not the optimal way. But however, that's the theme, but this does still just 6 mana kill something.
Yeah, 6 mana kill something, not a great rate. I think also, if you drop this for 6 mana and you uptick it a little bit and you can get your creatures, so after you've given your creature with 2 power on blockability, of course,
sure,
and then you make it so your creatures do a bit more damage, we can kind of manage Triskaidekaphobia a bit better. But also a lot of our creatures have Death Touch, so if we just go up to 7 and don't attack, maybe we'll attack with Etrata, nothing else. What are your opponents going to do? Like, they have to come at this, because if you let them get a couple more activations, then they will die. And I must point out, your creatures don't have to do combat damage. Whenever they deal damage, they lose the game. I have no way to take advantage of that in the deck otherwise than combat damage, but just so you know, like that card does that as well.
This is from the commander, the commander decks, right? Yeah, this wasn't.
Yeah.
Yeah.
No, this was this is like a dual, like a deck, like a precon.
Sorry, I said commander decks. I always say commander when
planeswalker
I need to
decks.
say planeswalker. It's weird. Yes, planeswalker decks. This one, yeah, this is cool. This is neat.
I don't mind it.
No, I don't mind it. I don't hate it. But yeah, there you go. That's that's a very good price for how I think the return you're gonna get in fun. To be honest.
Yeah, this card's $4, but yeah, man, if you want to brew it on the cheap, you can get this for like under $30.
Yeah, definitely. Which I suggest you do.
So, favorite cards?
Oh, okay. Man, so many to choose from in this deck. I already mentioned one of mine, which was, which you didn't have in the notes that we talked about, Archetype of Imagination. But I also just love the way that this card interacts with all of these things, which is Strionic Resonator. Like, 2 mana for the artifact. Pay 2, tap it, copy target triggered ability you control. You may choose new targets for the copy. Am I mad? But like, not only is this going to be great for the, when you hit, you trigger, you can cast a card from their library, or we can do this sort of thing. But lose the game triggers. You can make 2 people lose the game at the same time.
Well, you can but you can't
target
like, a lot of them don't target a player, right? A lot of them are just like you try to, like, if they don't have 3 hit counters,
right?
You can't make a new person lose the game.
Because that trigger would just target. But like, what I'm saying is, like, are there any that do that?
I think the only one that would work we can't run, which would be Door to Nothingness. I don't think. But even then, that's an activated ability. That's not a triggered ability. This is just
What
here.
about Phage, no?
Phage, no,
Whenever
but it's
Phage
that
goes
player.
coming at that player, yeah, you're right. Yeah. Oh well.
But
anyways, I didn't choose it for that. I chose it because I like just getting the additional hits from even something like a Tomebound Lich, like whatever. It's still worth it. More so when we're talking about some of the bigger ones like that Sphinx and that kind of stuff.
Can you imagine 2 Sphinx ambassadors off of this thing?
Exactly. Amazing. That's what I'm talking about, right? Like, for an additional 2 mana, you're in a tap, you're getting another full creature onto the battlefield. It's great.
Yeah, or like having your life total twice is amazing.
Yeah.
Etrata going from your first to your third Etrata is pretty good.
Even going like Whirler Rogue and making 2 more of those artifact tokens, like, that's good.
Not?
Now we can give 2 things unblockable.
Why not?
Yeah.
Very good, very good. Thank you, Mondo, for bringing that to our attention in the Discord.
Yeah.
My favorite card, I've talked about it a lot already. It's Sphinx Ambassador. Maybe you guessed because of how much we talked about it. But I love the mind game of it. Like, it would be so hard to, like, it's just amazing. Like you're always going to get something very good.
Very cool. Yeah. Great. Well, man, Sean, I got to tell you, I know generally speaking, we like make our own decks that we brewed for the show. But I like really want this one.
Well, if you want, okay, so if we're talking about Battle of Brews, you got some decks that I wouldn't mind brewing up for Battle of Brews myself. Do you want to talk about a trade?
Maybe we do a little trade.
A little deck trade?
We figure out a swap. Because I've been looking to make a Dimir deck because I don't have any Dimir decks. And I kind of didn't want to do like a real graveyard type thing because, like, I know, like, obviously a lot of Dimir decks care about that. And it's like Sultai cares about that. I have so many decks, but this is so fun. Perfect.
Yeah. Okay, we'll talk trade.
We'll talk trade. I got some good stuff. I'll offer you maybe a 2-for-1. We can talk about a trade. Anyways, awesome deck. Very this just looks so fun to play.
Thank you.
Well, anyway, that's the show for this week. Again, everyone, if you want to help us out directly, check out our Patreon, but you can also just do so by if you want to pick up the cards from this deck, you can check out our TCGplayer link in the show notes of the podcast, and on YouTube it's just below the video. And if you're in Canada, of course, again, check out MTG Canada and wizardtower.com to get that discount. Brew L Drain still rolling. Thanks everyone for watching. We'll see everybody next week.
Bye. Thanks for watching. If you love what we're doing, consider supporting the show by going to patreon.com/commandersbrew.
And if you want to get any of the cards from our deck list, go to our TCGplayer affiliate link below.
That helps us out too. And for a free way to help us out, consider sharing the show with some friends. Like and subscribe, add a comment or two.
See you later.
Bye.